everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Watcher of Realms. For today's video, we're going to do a guide on Morrigan. A lot of people just got her over the weekend, or are still trying to get her right now, for the Ancient Summoning event, and yeah, she's pretty great, and I think it's a really fun conversation to talk about. We love the Lego Lords, so let's get into it.
I shall make playthings of the dead.
Our research begins. The rituals never die.
Oh, and just a quick note, guys, we are on the test server, not to be confused with the Forerunner server or the global servers, which are completely separate. This is just a test server for limited content creators. All right, so we have a Morrigan, our gorgeous cultist lord, or cursed cult lord. So increases faction allies damage. Oop, wrong one. Yeah, same thing. Increases faction allies damage dealt to enemies inflicted with stun, freeze, immobilize, and other control effects by 30%. So the good thing is, there's a lot of ways to look at this. This bonus can be huge, 30% extra damage by all allies, so that are within her faction. So that most likely, if you're doing something like Gear Raid 1, the top tier wish would be to get her and Vienna to go together. Then job done, easy clap through the rest of Gear Raid 1 endgame. But most people aren't that lucky, right? Let's be honest, a lot of us might have Zealous though, which is a really great option. He's a lot better than he was before, and his awakenings can help even more to reduce the cost even further. His buff did add more damage, so that's really good. And then another shout would be Iona. A lot of people have Iona. She's that $5 hero. There's also Greed, that's a top tier mage that is more rare to pull, but a great option. Or early game, if you don't have many mages, you might still be using Voltus. So she's going to enable all of those heroes to do more damage if the enemy is under. Freeze, stun, slow, I think should count as well. And speaking of which, like, okay, Iona here. Iona has slow, right? That's a debuff. It's really great. We all love a slow. But there's also someone that we might not think about because you're like, she's not in the faction, but she's likely going to be in the team. So we also have Mari, who freezes, who slows. So if you're working on a Gear Raid 1 team and you're looking for some unique options to help enable Morrigan and her faction bonus, Mari could be one that you are using. So on the topic of her faction bonus, let me tell you, this is part of my plan here. Did I not finish gearing him? Why does it say red dots on these? Oh, because we could ascend it. They're trying to be fancy. I did not skill him up. I'm going to do that before we go into battle. But Zealous, any of these mages, AoE, whatever. Blue Sea Ice Ring is a legendary artifact that gives the chance to slow the target. So this is adding a control effect. So you could put this on someone like Zealous, who's probably going to be part of your team if you have him. And that's just going to be another control effect that can help enable Morrigan's Lord bonus, which enables the whole team to do more damage. So that's another consideration with how you're trying to synergize your team. Of course, when we're talking Morrigan, the reason we're talking about what we are is she's really going to help you in Gear Raid 1. That's kind of her specialty. So she's AoE damage herself, and her Lord bonus is what it's all about to help enable the whole team. Now, she is not herself. She's not top tier damage. So don't be disappointed if you pull her and you're expecting her to hit harder than all of your other DPS. No, what you're really looking for is Vienna or Comet for that main role, but you are going to still struggle with Gear Raid 1 dash like 19, 20, and 21 without Comet or Vienna. That is just the reality. And unless you have super OP gear from the other Gear Raids 19, or you've gotten really good rolls on stuff, it's going to be pretty hard to do Gear Raid stage 1, stage 19, even if you have Morrigan, if you don't have Vienna or Comet. I can definitely tell that's the case. Now, there are some ways to go around it and get really creative. You can certainly use rage boosting like with Laurel. And I'm actually going to get a little creative here and use a crit booster with Autumn. She increases the crit rate of allies in range and also the crit damage as well. So I think that'll be a little bit of fun to try for our team. And also, of course, Dolores helping to boost the team is going to be really helpful as well. But she's not the missing piece of the puzzle for DPS, period. If you're really struggling with Gear Raid 1, she's not going to be the answer. It's more about how she synergizes with the whole team. So let me go through and read her skills. Her talent, each basic attack launched has a 30% chance to release cursed bombs. Cursed bombs deal 25% magic damage to the target per second and explode at the end, dealing 50% AoE damage to surrounding enemies. So this is great. It's a little bit of damage over time and some extra damage. It's not, again, going to be like Comet and Viernes type damage, but it's definitely going to help. So her ultimate releases a wave of cursed bombs up to 4 targets in the range. Her basic attack here deals magic damage to 3 targets. Her passive, after cursed bombs detonate, generates a ground area effect, dealing 15% AoE damage per second. Airborne units take half the damage. And then here we have a passive, after being deployed for 40 seconds, increases damage permanently by 30%. So later in the battle, she's actually going to ramp up damage. So make sure you keep her alive, that's for sure. But yeah, I do have her in nothing special for gear, just trying to get close to like above 90% crit rate. I could use higher attack. My attack's honestly not high enough. I didn't even put crazy crit damage here. I'm not trying to build super OP min-maxing. I'm just trying to build relatable and what I can do. Limited gear still. And yeah, it's kind of relatable to how my account feels, to be honest. But I do have her in some okay rolls with some crit rate and crit damage on these pieces. And then we have some decent crit rolls over here and some crappy gear thrown in there too. Because you know what? This is the reality, right? This is the reality. We don't have perfect gear. I did decide to fully skill her. So we are going to go in and play around with her with some skills. Let's talk about her awakenings. Now, you're not going to be awakening legendary lords very often. But if you get lucky, her basic... If you get lucky, let's just not talk about her awakenings, because all of her awakenings are just simple damage boosts. You get basic attack with her 1. At least this does... Okay, her awakening 2 boosts her faction allies' AoE damage by even more. So that helps with her lord bonus, and then just gives her 5 plus 5% attack. So that's going to be more beneficial than anything else. Her Awaken 3 is just going to give shorten revival time by 10 seconds and generates a ground area effect over death. So helpful, but hopefully she's not dying too much. She needs to be alive, ideally, to ramp up that damage over time permanently with her other passive. Rage regen here is okay, and then curse bombs exploding deal full damage. I think full damage is 50%, 100 instead of 50%, it's 100% damage. So that's interesting as well. But her awakenings are not going to be the top tier. Like you're not going to use a fancy legendary soul if you happen to get one on her. You're going to use it on someone that is a main DPS, not a secondary DPS like she is, or a support. You're not going to use that for her. So I would definitely strongly suggest that. But all right, let's go play and talk about where she's going to be good. All right, so promotion raid, of course she's going to help there. Guild boss, no, you're not going to use Morrigan in guild boss or artifact material raid. Of course, you can use her in Tide. The Lord bonus is going to be great for the other mages involved if you're using them. Of course, XP isn't crazy hard. Well, maybe the newest one actually is. She can help there, of course. These aren't too bad, though. It's just AoE damage for the most part. And if you have her Lord bonus and you're using Vienna, Zealous, or Iona, of course you want to use her in the team just for the sake of that. Gear raids. So Gear Raid 1 is going to be, again, her place to shine and help enable the team, plus do a little bit of secondary damage herself. Gear Raid 2, she's not strong enough to be the main DPS that you'd use in the front. She just doesn't hit hard enough. You wouldn't end up using her there. In Gear Raid 3, I really can't see using her in any of the later game stages because you really need the marksman for that. The mages just aren't quite the right fit for what you need in the higher stages of Gear Raid 3. Of course, if you're early on, I totally used Comet in all of my early Gear Raid 3 stages, so if you're using like Morrigan and Iona in Gear Raid 3 as you're progressing a bit earlier, just in your account, if you got lucky and you got Morrigan, of course that's going to be fine, but it's not going to be the go-to. And then faction trials, obviously being the lord of the faction, she's going to be great for the faction trial. She's going to boost the whole team and make the battle just a lot easier. You should have no trouble doing the highest stage if you have Morrigan. All right, but let's get into a battle. We might as well do Gear Raid 1 because that's why we are here. All right, let's go ahead and do stage 18, turning off Power of Dominance. So I wanted to make a little bit of a relatable team because I just didn't think it was attainable to try to make a stage 19 team that feels somewhat free-to-play friendly, so to speak, or like early game or low, I don't know, or unlucky people that don't have Vienna or Comet. I don't want to, like, I don't really feel the need to make that sort of team, or because it's hard to do the Gear Raid 19 for one without really good gear, like on these. If you're gonna not have the best heroes in the game to do it, then you're really gonna need good gear, which means you hopefully have done stage 19s of the other ones. And I don't want to be showing stuff with stage 19 gear at this point. I'm just kind of, I'm not there myself for the most part, and I feel like I'd rather show her in that like early end game phase that's still relatable to the majority of people. So that's kind of my strategy here. Let's go ahead in and have a little bit of fun. So this should be very easy. I don't even think we'll have to have much effort. 18 should be a breeze. So if we're going to have, you know what, let's go ahead with Iona as a main DPS. And let's actually use Mari at level 50 to support. And then let's go ahead and use, you know what, she's not going to be the main DPS, so I might throw her over here. She's not going to, oh, I can't decide. She's not going to be the main one doing the damage, so it's kind of debatable. You know what? No, we will, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then we will boost the others over here with Dolores. Let's see, can I? Okay. And we're going to bring Zealous over there as well. I don't even think I really need to do this extra boosting stuff. Oh, I popped Iona way too early. That was my mistake. But we'll use Mari to freeze, and then everyone else is going to do so much more damage once you have that freeze on. This is going to be so easy. We don't even have to try. I'm serious, guys. All right, and we're going to use, just because we can, we're going to use Autumn to boost the crit rate and crit damage of Zealous and Iona. They're going to be the core. And really, we're just mostly using Morrigan as kind of a booster instead of like the main DPS. She's just here to help. She's not even the one doing the majority of the work. She's just here to help make sure everyone else does great work because we're going to keep slows and freezes constantly on our targets thanks to Iona and Mari and Zealous being in Blue Sea Ice Ring. I even have a Maul here for backup damage if I needed it. If someone died early, like I accidentally let Mari die, but don't think that's going to happen. Really, really easy with pretty simple gear. None of my gear is super OP. I try really hard to just, again, use like the basics and stuff that's a little bit more relatable. I keep forgetting about Autumn and forgetting to pop her ultimate before the other ultimates. But as you can see, this is just a breeze. This is absolutely a breeze. I didn't even have to really time any ultimates for stage 18. So if you're struggling to farm stage 18 to at least guarantee only the legendary or mythic gear, this is such an easy team to build. And it's pretty easy with Mari being 5-star. Autumn being a booster that is rare. And then Zealous in here is someone that so many people have, but kind of hate. This is just such an easy clap. I didn't even have to try kind of setup. As you can see, it was just so easy. It was total overkill. That just shows you how good they really are for like stage 18. The boosting is amazing. Let's see here if we can see the stats. So look at, actually, I'm surprised. My Morrigan does have a lot better gear than what I threw on Zealous. So look at Morrigan not even being boosted actually really surprised me for damage. So maybe I should swap. Maybe we'll do that in the next. Let's try another battle. Maybe I put Morrigan over on the other side. Maybe I'm underestimating Morrigan. But the thing is, it's just the comparison of like Comet and Vierna that is really what people are looking for. You're looking for the top tier mage damage to really push you through the high stages of Gear Raid 1. And she's an assistant, but she's not the answer. And that's kind of the main conversation that I wanted to have around that topic. All right, let's try stage 19. Just because we can. All right, let's go ahead in and put our Iona, our main DPS, in first, and Morrigan in right after. And then we're going to go ahead and get our boosters ready, which is Dolores and Autumn. And they are going to be the core damage. Then we're going to have Mari to help with for the sake of the freezes and the slows. And we are going to bring in our healers so everybody doesn't die as well. Let's go. Let's not let Mari die. Okay, so boost, and then Iona pop. For ultimates, that's what I did behind me. I should have waited for Mari to be ready, but the first wave's not so hard, so we'll be fine. I'll put Zealous up here. He is going to be a big help as well. And then ooh, my Autumn died. Oh, I forgot to put a healer, bruh. All right, let's go into it. So we are gonna go Iona as main DPS, along with Morrigan, who's pretty damn close. We have Dolores and Autumn. That side is pretty well set up, but I am gonna go ahead and add in Mari. Oops, let's put her one down here. And I want to wait for Mari's ultimate before I pop. And then we'll be able to have everyone under crowd control for sure if we're patient enough. So let's go ahead and quickly add in our healer over there. And Mari, now the booster, now Iona. And now we're going to bring in our heal over here. My Mari might die. I might need to make her tankier. So we have a backup with Maul is just kind of going to be extra damage. But we really need to get Zealous in here to help out. All right. So Zealous is in here now. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. Let's go, Zealous. You go ahead and just use your ultimate whenever you want. And all right, we're almost ready for the next setup. Mari's ultimate is ready. And boom, Mari's ultimate, popping our boosters, and now Iona. So this is really cool to just enable everyone to do more damage. I mean, we're adding crit rate and crit damage with Autumn. This is just a fun way to get more damage out of your team than you probably can just by gear if your gear is far from perfect because you're trying to get to stage 19 in the first place. All right, I'm gonna pop Mari whenever we can because this is getting messy, and that's typically what happens. But as you can see, this just isn't enough. I'm gonna let you. I'm leaving this in the video so you guys can see the example of why you really do need the super OP heroes to make it work. Like, we're doing okay damage, more than I expected, honestly, for stage 19. I'm actually pretty impressed that we got as far as we did with no Comet or Vierna. But at the end of the day, oh hey, look at Morrigan. Okay, so we have to give Morrigan props that with the same boosting that Iona had, she definitely did more damage And my gear's pretty similar for both. I have I have a different set. I have Iona in the AoE damage set, so I would have thought she's actually doing better. But again, Morrigan, a pretty good showing, a pretty surprising showing here. Surprised me, honestly, but it's still just not enough. Like, Iona and Zealous and Morrigan, not enough. Iona and Vierna and Zealous, sure. You know, like, okay. Or Iona and Vierna and Morrigan, okay. But we really need that Vierna or Comet, I feel like, to push forward. Unless you're doing some of that cheese strategy like with Laurel, which I have not perfected myself to even give it a try, honestly. But alright, obviously Morrigan Arena is not going to be really necessary for her. Of course, there's the AoE one, which if she's one of your few AoE mages, you might give her a try for the AoE DPS Arena. Why not? Her Lord bonus is going to be great for the others. If you're using Mari and Morrigan and Iona, you're going to have a pretty solid arena team as well. So I think it's okay there. Void Rift, of course, you can use her again with the Lord bonus. If you're using the people that she's going to boost, that's definitely going to come in handy. It just depends on your core team. And keep in mind that while she is a good DPS, she's still not the answer for Gear Raid 1. I mean, she might be your tipping point if you were close, but I really don't think she's the answer, unfortunately, despite a nice showing of damage with our girl Iona. But at the end of the day, Iona is an epic. She's not as good as, again, Comet or Vierna. So Morrigan doing more damage than Iona was kind of expected. But hope this helps, guys. I just kind of wanted to talk through her utility, and it's more about team synergy and taking advantage of her Lord bonus and how that's going to pair with other people that also do control or using things like Blue Sea Icing to help make sure that happens. But yeah, that's all for today's video. Hope you guys enjoy your Morrigans. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.